Yesterday, I put out a video debunking some misinformation about Nintendo Switch 2, dealing with $90 price points and the fact that there wouldn't be any physical games on Switch. All physical games are game key cards. Obviously, those stories were false. If you still don't know what I'm talking about, you can go check out that video. I'll put a link down in the description. But today, we have to debunk another story that, again, to me is just extremely unfortunate at how this spread and how nobody bothered to check this person. No one bothered to send a free email to confirm or deny a story being spread around by YouTubers, websites, galore. This is maybe the worst bit of misinformation to go around about Switch 2. And as I said towards the end of my last video on dealing with misinformation, I am not saying there aren't real things we need to talk about in regards to what is happening with Nintendo Switch 2, because not everything is great, as excited as I am. And I do have a video going up later today dealing with Nintendo and their poor communication and the way they're communicating many different aspects of the system and how they are at fault for a lot of this. But this is one thing Nintendo isn't actually at fault for, because this is a story that was a non-story to begin with that only became a story because everyone believed a straight up lie. And they believed this lie while having the ability to do exactly what I just did today to actually get a real answer without running fake headlines. So before we dive in, I want to remind you, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2, and you know what? Maybe that's more relevant right now since it's kind of expensive. Maybe we bump it up to the Mario Kart World Bundle. For now, I don't have the pre-order in yet because pre-orders haven't started. So we're just going to say safe assumption it's just going to be the base model. But hey, if you're lucky, maybe we toss in some Mario Kart World with it. That being said, you guys can enter that down in the pinned comment in the description. We need to get to what we're talking about today, and it starts with this headline over on Video Game Chronicle, where it says, physical Nintendo Switch 2 edition games are reportedly Switch 1 carts with the code in the box. No, actually, it's not reportedly. It is a fake news story. It's written by Jordan Miller. Nintendo Switch 2 editions will include visual upgrades and more. So it goes over to the cover of the Switch 2 edition game reads, includes the Nintendo Switch game and the Nintendo Switch 2 edition upgrade pack. Upgrade paths are also available separately. That is what it says factually on the box. I want to note this, that nowhere on here does it say download required, and nowhere has Nintendo communicated downloads are required. So at no point has Nintendo ever even come close to indicating that it's Switch 1 carts with a download code in the box. That has never once been communicated by Nintendo. All they've ever said is they're selling Switch 2 editions of games that have upgrades. It should be assumed that means everything is on the cartridge. But these headlines are out here saying, no. They're not on the cartridge. It's actually a Switch 1 card. It's not a red card, and it doesn't have the upgrades there. It's going to be a download code. Now, why are they saying this? Well, as we go down here, we see it quotes this doesitplay.org person over on Blue Sky, but they also made this post over on X. Let's go ahead and take a look at this originating source, because before I even debunk it, I got to show you something. So let's go ahead and get into the Does It Play thing. And it says, according to Nintendo's own support, a Switch 2 Enhanced Edition were false advertising during the Direct. After trying to nail them down for an answer, they confirmed to one of our followers, no, not to Does It Play, but a follower of theirs, it's just Switch 1 cards with a code for the upgrade. No reason to buy these then. Now, did Does It Play do his due diligence? Did he go ahead and confirm what this follower sent him? Because the follower sent him this screenshot here, which, by the way, should already have raised a red flag. It raised a red flag for me, but apparently it didn't raise a red flag for anybody else. It says, thank you for your reply. Yes, we can confirm that the upgrades will be download codes. Thank you for understanding. If you have any further questions, please let us know. In the meantime, we wish you a great day. Kind regards, Pedro S., Nintendo UK Customer Support Team. Now, this is from an email. This is not actually what Nintendo of UK emails look like, okay? You're about to see this in a moment. I already knew this. How do I know this? Because I've actually contacted UK customer support for a question in the past that had to do with helping one of our fans figure something out because they didn't know. I think they were just really young, to be honest. I don't know. Either way, they have a free email you can contact. And thank you for your reply. We can confirm the upgrades will be download codes. The upgrades for what? The download codes for what? Download codes for physical games? The download codes for when you buy a Switch 2 edition? There's no clarification in here, right? There's no clarification. This is important because this headline has been ran all over the place. Don't believe me? Well, check out this. Now, how about that?
But is the physical edition of the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of the game actually a physical version? Because there's been lots of confusion over that, and it seems like we potentially have a little bit of clarification on that, and it's about as bad as you'd expect it to be. So this is coming to us from Wario64. According to a Nintendo UK support rep, Switch 2 editions of physical games like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Metroid Prime 4 contain a download code for the upgrade pack along with the Nintendo Switch version, the Nintendo Switch 1 version cart of the game. And here is the alleged, I should say alleged because this hasn't been confirmed. However, there hasn't really been much pushback on this, it seems. Where somebody asked this question, like how does it work from the physical standpoint? Thank you for the reply. Yes, we can confirm that the upgrades will be download codes. Thank you for understanding. If you have any further questions, please let us know. In the meantime, we wish you a great day. Kind regards, Pedro S., Nintendo UK customer support team. Now, you can't be 1,000% sure with this. It seems like this is a reputable account that many people that I follow. So I feel like they wouldn't be sharing this information unless there was some level of clarity to it. And I don't feel like Wario64 would just be willy-nilly throwing this out there.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're doing this again.
Nintendo just got caught lying. It's not a joke. It's not exaggeration. Nintendo admits that they lied during the Nintendo Direct about how Switch 2 games work. And Nintendo just admitted that almost every Nintendo Switch 2 game is going to be a code in a box. There will not be used Nintendo Switch 2 games, including for some major stuff like Metroid Prime 4. Nintendo has now admitted it is literally a Nintendo Switch 1 game. According to Nintendo's own support, the Nintendo Switch 2 Enhanced Editions were false advertised during the Nintendo Direct. After trying to nail them down for an answer, they confirmed to one of our followers it's a Switch 1 game cart with a code inside for the upgrade. The box is useless. It is literally going to be a Nintendo Switch 2 case with a Nintendo Switch 1 game inside, which means that even if you do buy this, even if you love that game, even if you love it, you can never lend it to anybody. You can never let your friends try it. It is legitimately hard stuck to your system forever because any other thing, even if you get Metroid Prime 4, the case will have an original copy of Metroid Prime 4 on Nintendo Switch. Putting it into a Switch 2 does not make it a Switch 2 game. It is a Switch 1 game until you type that code in.
In fact, it goes on and on and on. I could call out a trillion YouTubers and news articles for running this story. I could call out everyone out there because this is by far the most egregious misinformation out there. So what did Nintendo Prime do? What did I decide to do that nobody else thought about doing? Why don't I reach out to UK customer support and ask them directly if the Nintendo Switch 2 edition game comes with just the Switch 1 version and a download code, or if the entire thing is on cartridge. Who would ever think to do that? Why would anybody dream of verifying a story that is reportedly sent from a fan to an account on X? A story sent from a fan to an account on X that doesn't even clarify what it's talking about. Who would ever think to send a free email to Nintendo UK customer support and actually just ask them the damn question? So you know what? I did just that. Actually, technically before this, here's a couple screenshots. I actually talked to Nintendo of America's customer support. Turns out they don't have any information on Switch 2, basically, besides the general, here's what comes in the box. So don't bother going to them. I mean, you can. You're probably going to get a similar response that I do. But you can verify the story for yourself. I can say this confidently because I did get a response from Nintendo UK today. In fact, they responded to me about an hour ago. Here's my actual inbox, my Nathan at NintendoPrime.net inbox. You can see the store ad. Look at this. All the evidence is right here. It's not a cropped screenshot. Oh, and by the way, look at the email. Just before I read it, look at the format of that email, guys. That's what communication officially from Nintendo's UK support team actually looks like. Not that little cropped screenshot that was completely fabricated over on X. That being said, let's read what this says, and we'll zoom it in to give you guys a little bit easier reading with this text. It says, "Dear Nathaniel, They said my name wrong, but that's okay. Thank you for contacting my Nintendo store. Regarding your query, if you purchase a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of a game on physical format, look how clear this is, you will receive one cartridge with the upgrade already in it. We'll read the rest of this email, but there you go. Fake news, fake story. It is really grinding my gears that the actual criticism and the conversations we need to have about Nintendo's poor communication is getting muddled by made-up bullshit that everyone's running with when it's absolutely free, 100% free to get this confirmation yourself. I should not be, as a lone YouTuber out there, I should not be the only person that thought, man, this is kind of crazy. Maybe we should ask Nintendo UK if this is true. Oh my God, am I the only person thinking about doing this? Nintendo, this isn't even Nintendo's communication fault. At no point had Nintendo indicated this was a thing. So this is literally just fake news. And this is the problem with the grifting of the internet. Everyone's trying to grift over fake stories and it detracts. We should be having a real conversation, and we will, about Nintendo's poor communication for Switch 2 worldwide. And absolutely, we're going to have that conversation. But we have to get the fake stuff out of the way. The things that are causing all the headlines, the things that are driving more and more outrage that are absolutely not real. $90 games in the US for Switch 2, they don't exist. At least not yet, right? They don't exist. We'll see what happens with the tariffs. Besides that, no, Nintendo's not getting rid of physical games. Those still exist. And yes, the entire game is on a Switch 2 edition cart, including all the extra stuff. Because Nintendo never once indicated otherwise. Going back to this, says, however, this is where the code thing could have came from, assuming there was any truth. However, if you already had the game for Nintendo Switch 1, so you had the physical game or digital, and you were only to purchase the expansion update, you would then receive a digital download code regardless if you have it on digital or physical format. If you have any further inquiries, do not hesitate to contact us. Kind regards, my Nintendo Store team. So what they're saying here is very clear. There's no confusion here. This is a precise, clear communication. If you purchase a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of the game on physical format, you will receive one cartridge with the upgrade already in it. So the cartridge already has it. However, if you already own the physical Switch 1 game or a digital Switch 1 game and you purchase the upgrade separately, right, that's going to be handed to you with a download code. And that makes total sense. They can't retroactively grab your copy of Tears of the Kingdom for Switch 1. They can't let me grab mine here. It's a little buried. They can't sit here and grab this. They can't go ahead and grab this physical cartridge and insert the update on it, out of the blue. Hey, thanks for spending $20 to update your version of Tears of the Kingdom. Now, your physical copy from Switch 1 just automatically has the update. Well, no, they're going to give you a download code. That makes total sense. So, yeah, the download code's a thing if you already own the game. It is not a thing if you actually buy the Switch 2 edition physically. Everything is on the cartridge. So, sorry. I'm getting a little worked up on this one, not because I'm all like Nintendo Defense Force, because again, we're about to make a video about Nintendo's poor communication and how this could have all been managed much better to avoid not some of the negative reactions on pricing, because the pricing is what the pricing is. People were always going to react negatively whenever they see prices go up. That's just the way it is. But they could have avoided some of this misinformation. This story in particular, though, I don't know how Nintendo avoids it. I literally don't know how Nintendo could have avoided this. Their entire communication about the Switch 2 edition this whole time is that everything's on the cartridge, from everything from when they announced the Switch 2 editions to what they showed on the box. Everything indicated that everything would be on the cartridge, but because of one fake email from Nintendo UK, perpetuated by a fan, supposedly, I don't even know, maybe this person just made it up, sent it to a popular X account, that got ran as a story. What happened to journalistic integrity? Look, I understand YouTubers, a lot of us are talking heads and we're reactionary, but this is a story that, like, the moment they said they got it from the Nintendo UK support team, I was like, wait a second. This isn't how the Nintendo UK support team communicates. That's not what an email from them looks like. This is what an email looks like. They don't sign it off by anybody. It has all the copyright stuff at the bottom. It has obviously the My Nintendo store at the top. This is literally how they communicate. And they go over all the different territories here. Yeah, like, this is normal. This, what was shown wasn't, and it was a crop thing. anything, and even if they change the background color from red to whatever for, readability reasons, bottom line is that's literally not how Nintendo UK responds. And I knew that from looking at it. How can a place like Video Game Chronicle or some of these UK outlets that I assume have talked to Nintendo UK before not know that that's not how they format their communications? And then to not think, man, nothing in here actually mentions the physical game. Maybe we should actually contact them for free. And by the way, some of these outlets literally no employees at Nintendo UK and could have got on the phone and just texted or called them and got clarification, maybe even on the record, since obviously this would be a really big thing Nintendo would not want out there. They would not want misinformation on something that they think is stupid, because there shouldn't be misinformation, because their communication was clear on it the whole time, but because the internet is grifting hard on anything negative about Switch 2, we're just making up stories now. Now, obviously, thank you to all those people for making up stories, because I guess it got me this extra video, which got me my anti-hate clickbait for Nintendo Switch 2. So I guess thanks for that. But I would rather not make this video, and I would have rather put out my video about Nintendo and their poor communication, which, you know what, I'm still going to do that one today. We have some words from Doug Bowser we have to get to as well, because they finally commented on game pricing. So we have some real news we're going to get to. But before we did, we had to complete the circle of misinformation. Hopefully this is the last story where we get to debunk misinformation, because I don't want to keep having to do this. I shouldn't be the only creator, and I guess if you want to call me the journalist, I don't feel that I am. I feel like I'm more of a talking head, but I shouldn't be the only journalist too that is bothering to do the bare minimum, the absolute bare minimum to run a story. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I am Nathaniel Rufflejazz from Nintendo Prime, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.